The alien fleet gave the human city 1 hour to surrender. The humans did not answer with weapons. They turned their city toward the sun. The planet Oryx had no night. It had no real day, either Oryx was locked to its star, frozen in a perfect balance. One side burned forever, a sea of fire and molten rock. The other side slept in endless darkness, buried under ice thicker than mountains. Between them existed a thin, fragile strip of life called the Dawn Belt. That narrow band was the only place humans could survive, and they had survived there for generations. The city of Hylia stretched along the Dawn Belt like a shining scar. Tall towers of steel and glass reflected the low, constant sunlight. Massive mirrors stood in ordered lines outside the city, slowly rotating, always tracking the star at the horizon. From space, it looked like a peaceful solar farm. From the inside, it was the heart of everything, inside the central control tower. Warning lights bloomed across holographic displays, red amber. Red again. The air was quiet, but heavy. Engineers whispered. Technicians froze with their hands over consoles. Then the broadcast came. Every screen in the city activated at once. A massive alien face filled the air above Hylia. Gray skin, black eyes, without emotion. Cold metal armor framed his neck and shoulders. The translation appeared beneath him. Commander Varix Vorthax. Iwan Yoan's voice was flat, calm, certain. Human settlement on Oryx, the alien said. Your occupation of this planet is unauthorized. In homes, people stopped moving. In factories, machines slowed. Children looked up at screens they did not understand. You will surrender this city. Varix continued, and prepare for relocation. Your lives will be spared. Your resistance will not. A pause. You have 1 standard hour. The signal ended. Silence spread across Hylia, like a shadow. Inside the control tower, Eli Kane did not move. He stood at the center of the room, hands behind his back, eyes locked on the solar array. His face was calm. Too calm. Eli was not a soldier. He was an engineer. Chief Systems. Architect of Hylia's energy network. He had helped design the mirrors when he was barely 30. He had watched friends die during early failures. He had learned exactly how much heat a human body could take, and how much more steel could hold. A young technician broke the silence. Sir, they outgun us? Another whispered. Their fleet is 10 times our size. Eli finally spoke. Status of thermal storage. The room paused. The question felt strange. Okay. Reservoirs are at 96%, someone answered. Stable. Eli nodded slowly. Good, a city leader stepped closer. Eli, we need to talk evacuation plans. Eli turned to face him. No, he said calmly. We need to talk time. Time? The leader asked. Eli pointed at the main display. The alien fleet hovered in orbit, waiting. Confident. Still, they think 1 hour is pressure, Eli said. They think we panic. He walked toward the viewport and looked at the endless star resting on the horizon. They don't know us. Outside, the mirrors continued their slow motion. Silent, patient. Eli's voice lowered. This city was built to face a star forever. The control tower fell quiet, far above. The alien fleet adjusted formation. Unaware, the countdown clock began to tick. 59 to 59. Eli placed his hand on the master control console. Prepare mirrors for manual alignment, he said. Someone swallowed. hard. For power optimization. Eli didn't look back. For survival? The alien commander believed humans would beg instead. The city began to move. Every mirror turned at once. The mirrors around Helia shifted. Not fast. Not dramatic. Just enough to be noticed. From orbit, Commander Varix watched the movement with mild curiosity. Thousands of reflective panels rotated in perfect order, like petals following light. Solar infrastructure realignment, one of his officers reported. Likely panic-driven energy maximization. Varix made a sound close to laughter. Let them squeeze their last comfort from the star, he said. It will not change the outcome. On the ground, the control tower felt very different. Sweat ran down backs. Fingers hovered above emergency shutoffs. The quiet hum of the thermal batteries deep beneath the city grew louder, heavier. Eli Kane stood at the center console.com but focused. Mirror sectors Alpha through Delta, he said, locked to secondary alignment. A technician hesitated. Sir, that's not a power setting. I know what it is, Eli replied. The mirrors obeyed. Outside the city. The great solar fields stopped behaving like collectors. They became lenses, deep underground. Massive chambers filled with molten salt absorbed the sudden change. Temperature climbed. Pressure rose. Warning symbols flashed. Thermal load is spiking, someone said. Storage is nearing redline. Eli nodded. Hold it there. You'll rupture the reservoirs. Not yet, Eli answered. They were built stronger than regulation. He remembered why. Years ago, when Helia was still young, the star had flared unexpectedly. The old safety margins failed. Hundreds died. After that, Eli redesigned everything. Not for efficiency, for endurance. In the city streets, people felt the change before they understood it. The air grew warmer. The light sharpened. Shadows shortened unnaturally. A woman looked up at the mirrors and whispered, "They're different." Children squinted as sunlight reflected brighter than before. Still no evacuation order came. In orbit. The alien fleet received updated sensor data. Commander, an officer said carefully, localized heat output from the surface is rising. Beyond expected civilian levels. Varix leaned forward slightly. How far beyond? Still none hostile, the officer replied. But unusual. Varix stared at the city's glowing edge. They are posturing, he said. Nothing more? He turned away. Prepare ground units. I want their control center intact. Back in Helia, Eli exhaled slowly. Start Phase 2 simulation. He said, the room, Sidsa. A city official stepped forward. Eli, once you cross that threshold, there is no crossing yet, Eli said. Only preparation. On the main display, the alien fleet's projected landing zones appeared. Right through the mirror fields. Exactly where Eli wanted them. A technician's voice trembled. Sir, if they land there, they won't, Eli said quietly. He placed his hand over the final authorization key. The mirrors outside hummed as alignment. Locked, the molten reservoirs pulsed like a restrained heartbeat. Beneath the city, the sun hung at the horizon, watching, waiting. The aliens landed with confidence. Their armor was strong. Their mistake was simple. They believed the sun was harmless. The first alien dropships broke through the thin atmosphere like falling knives. Heat shields burned bright orange. Engines screamed. Dust lifted from the desert as massive shadows crossed the twilight land. From the city walls, people watched in silence. No cheers. No panic, only waiting. Commander Varex stood on the bridge of his flagship, arms behind his back. "Deploy ground units," he ordered. "I want the city intact." The dropship slowed and hovered above the mirror fields. Alien soldiers descended. In perfect rows, heavy armor, energy rifles, shields glowing faint blue. They marched forward, each step confident, each formation flawless. They saw mirrors, thousands of them. Flat, still, quiet, primitive solar collectors. One officer said. "No defensive installations detected?" Varex nodded. "Proceed." In the Helia-controlled nexus, warning lights blinked softly. "Ground forces have entered Sector 7. A technician said. Ely Kane closed his eyes for a moment. "Begin." "Micro-adjustments," he said. Outside, the mirrors moved again. So slowly, the soldiers barely noticed. A fraction of a degree. A harmless change. Or so it seemed. The temperature around the alien column began to rise. Not enough to trigger alarms, just enough to feel uncomfortable. Inside their armor, cooling systems worked harder. "Environmental heat anomaly detected," one soldier reported. "Local star exposure," the squad leader replied. "Maintain formation." They kept marching, the ground shimmered, air bent. Sunlight thickened. Back in orbit. Sensors finally reacted. "Commander," an officer said sharply. "Thermal density is increasing inside the landing zone." Varex frowned. "From what source?" The officer hesitated. "The star. Being redirected." Varex turned slowly. "What do you mean, redirected?" On the surface, Ely spoke calmly. "Lock convergence." He said, every mirror froze in place, at that exact moment. Sunlight stopped behaving like light. It became pressure heat, force, a silent. Beam struck the alien column. Armor glowed red. Then white. Soldiers screamed as cooling systems failed instantly. Metal softened. Rifles melted. Some tried to run. There was nowhere to escape. The mirrors did not move. They did not chase. They simply focused in seconds. The desert turned black. Only scorched armor remained. No bodies, just shadows. Burned into the ground, the beam cut off. The mirrors relaxed. Silence returned from the city walls. No one cheered. They stared, horrified. Victorious, in orbit, Varex slammed his claw into the console. "That was a weapon," he snarled. "No weapons signature," the officer said, shaken. "They used the star." Varex's eyes burned. "Find their control center," he ordered. "I want the humans broken." On the ground, Ely leaned heavily on the console. His hands were shaking. "It worked," someone whispered. "Yes," Ely said quietly. "It worked once." He looked at the displays. More ships were landing. More soldiers deploying. The enemy was learning. And adapting. The mirrors waited. The sun waited. But the enemy stopped walking in the light. Commander Varex learned fast, too fast. From orbit, he watched the scorched desert where his elite soldiers had vanished. No explosions, no wreckage fields. No battle, just silence. "They weaponized the environment," Varex said coldly. "A clever trick. It will not work twice." He turned to his tactical officers. "Adjust landing strategy. All further ground assaults will move through the dark belt. The dark side of the planet, frozen, lifeless. Sunlight never reached it. Where mirrors were useless, on the surface." Alarms pulsed again. Enemy movement detected, a technician said. They're not advancing through the mirror fields. Eli? Kane felt his stomach tighten. Where are they going? The map shifted. Red icons flowed along the planet's shadowed edge, straight toward the city's unlit side. The dark belt, someone whispered. Eli clenched his jaw. They learned. In orbit, Variks allowed himself a thin smile. Without the sun, he said, they are just people hiding behind glass. Dropships released troops into frozen terrain. Armor switched to night vision mode. Thermal sensors activated. Alien soldiers advanced through darkness without hesitation. No heat, no glare, no warning. Back in the city, the temperature began to drop. Wind howled through unlit streets. Power reroute complete, a technician reported. But mirror output is near zero. Eli paced. They think the sun is our only weapon. Stopped. Charged the thermal banks. Several heads snapped up. The emergency reserves? Yes. Those reserves held heat gathered over decades. Molten salt. Stored sunlight. Energy meant for survival, not war. Deep underground. Containment doors opened. Sensors screamed as pressure climbed. Banks at 80%, a technician warned. Discharge. Could destabilize the grid? Ely didn't look away. Opened the shutters. On the city's dark side, massive structures slowly awakened. Hidden towers unfolded. Panels slid apart. From inside them came light. Not sunlight. Artificial. Daylight, brighter. Harsher. The frozen plain exploded into white brilliance. Alien night optics. Overloaded instantly. Soldiers screamed. Clawing at helmets. Thermal sensors spiked beyond limits. Confusion tore through their ranks. What is this light? My optics are blind. Retreat from trenches and rooftops. Humans opened fire. Captured alien weapons roared. Plasma tore through disoriented troops. The dark belt turned into chaos. In orbit. Varric stared in disbelief. They created a sun? He muttered. The darkie slammed his fist down. Enough games? He turned to a silent officer. Find a weakness? Minutes passed. Then we've identified a pressure point, the officer said carefully. A man inside the city. A former smuggler. A file appeared. Varric leaned forward. A criminal among heroes. His smile returned. Perfect. On the surface, Eli watched enemy forces collapse again, but he felt no relief. The enemy had not retreated. They had changed tactics, and something else felt wrong. Too quiet, too patient. Far from the battle lines, Darian felt a chill that had nothing to do with temperature. A secure channel blinked alive. A voice he thought he had buried forever whispered his name. The enemy failed to destroy the city, so they chose something darker. They chose a man. Darian stood alone in the ruined greenhouse. Broken glass crunched under his boots. The secure channel glowed. Faint green in the air. A hologram formed. Warlord. Varrick's eyes were cold. Patient. Certain. You belong to me, Varric said calmly. You always have. Darian's jaw tightened. I left that life, he said. No one ever leaves, Varric replied. They only pretend. The hologram shifted. Images appeared. Old manifests. Illegal cargo chains. Children Darian's breath caught. I can end. You with this, Varric continued. Or I can forget it ever existed. Silence stretched. What do you want? Darian asked. Varric smiled. Information. Back in the Hylia Nexus, Eli studied battle projections. Enemy movements made no sense. They avoided strong points. They probed weak ones. Someone was guiding them. Someone knows our layout. A technician whispered. Eli said nothing. The thought had already formed. In the greenhouse, Varex leaned closer. Feed me targeting delays, he said. Mirror alignment errors. Power reroute schedules. Darian's hands trembled. And when the city falls? He asked. Varex's voice softened. She lives. Darian froze. Amira Varex said casually. The Sun Singer. Darian felt sick. I will personally extract her, Varex continued. Before we burn the rest. The deal sealed itself in Darian's silence. Back in the city. The mirrors missiled. Only by fractions. Almost invisible. But enough. Convergence error. A technician reported. Ely frowned. That shouldn't be possible. Another alert followed. Beam dispersion increasing. Outside, a solar strike missed its target. Barely but enough for alien troops to survive. They're adapting too fast. Someone said. Eli stared at the data. No, someone was helping them. Night fell again. The enemy advanced with confidence. Darian stood on a rooftop. Watching the city prepare. He saw families carrying children underground. He saw fighters checking weapons. He saw Amira on the tower, chanting softly. Every word cut into him. Later, Amira found him. You feel wrong, she said quietly. Darian turned. Away, you should stay near the shelters, he snapped. She stiffened. That's not how you speak. He lashed out. Stop pretending this matters. We're already dead. The words hung in the air. Amira stared at him. Not hurt. Afraid? Decapitation strike. He muttered bitterly. She blinked. That phrase. That was not his language. Her eyes narrowed. The next morning, Varex moved. Full assault, he ordered. Strike the Nexus. His fleet advanced. Ground forces surged, and Darian knew what was coming. The city prepared for its final stand in the Nexus. Alarms screamed. Enemy flagship moving into firing position. Eli clenched his fists. This was it. Amira stood beside Darian again. Tell me the truth, she said. He broke. He has my past, Darian whispered. And he's using it to kill us. Her face went still, cold. Clear. You will fix this, she said. Or you will die trying. Darian nodded. Tears burned his eyes. The traitor turned back toward the sun. The enemy believed the sun had limits. They were wrong. Humans had already planned beyond it. The enemy flagship moved into position. Its shadow swallowed half the city. Weapon larger than anything Solhara had ever seen began to charge. Deep in the Helia Nexus, Ely felt the floor vibrate. Flagship cannon charging, a technician shouted. 5 minutes to fire. Ely exhaled slowly. So this is how they end it, someone whispered. No, Ely said. This is where we end them. Turned to a mirror. The great mirrors, he said. Her eyes widened. The orbital sails. She asked. They're untested. One mistake, we don't get another chance, Eli replied. Far above the planet, 3 ancient cargo sails drifted in orbit. Relics from the colony's first days. Each 1 kilometers. Wide. Forgotten. Ignored. Waiting. Darian ran through smoke-filled corridors. His confession echoed behind him. Technicians stared. Some with rage. Some with disbelief. But Joan Elione said one thing. Fix it. Darian slammed into a console, his hands flew, undoing every false delay. Every corrupted angle, every lie. Telemetry clean. Darian gasped. Perfect alignment. Amir's voice rose across the city. Not a chant of defense. A chant of awakening. Every Mir responded. On rooftops. In streets. On towers. Even personal hand mirrors turned skyward. The city moved as one dot in orbit. The ancient sails began to rotate, slow, majestic, terrifying. On the flagship bridge, Commander Varex froze. What are they doing? He demanded. Sensors. Screamed. Energy spike detected. But it was too late. The sails caught the sun. Not reflected, focused. A single beam formed. Cleaner, sharper, stronger. Stronger than anything before, Ely whispered. Now. The beam struck the flagship's thermal vent. The one moment it had to open. The moment it could not defend. Light poured inside the ship, straight into its heart. Its flagship bloomed. A silent explosion brighter than the star itself. The shockwave rippled through space. Alien ships broke formation, then turned, then fled. On the ground, enemy forces dropped their weapons. The war was over. Silence fell over Solhera, then cheering, then tears. Eli Vin tears. Eli collapsed into a chair. Amara stood beside him. Shaking, Darian stepped back. I will face judgment, he said quietly. Eli looked. Adam, you already are, he replied. Above them, a council transmission arrived. Short official dot, official, clear dot. Solhera sovereignty recognized. Chai Dominion claim nullified. Reparations ordered. The sun hung on the horizon. Still watching. Still burning. But this time, it felt different. It felt like an ally. 3 figures stood on the tower. The engineer, the mirror keeper. The man who almost betrayed them? Together, they watched their city stand unbroken. Humanity did not conquer the stars. They learned how to aim them.